Welcome to Motorsport Coaching, the podcast for racers with racers. Miss Motivate can help get you to the next level. Every episode, she talks to the best racers of today and those that can get you there. She'll help you get better.
Racing News.
At fitness, nutrition, sports psychology, sponsorship, social media, public relations, and media training. Connect with Miss Motivate at motivatetraining.com.au. That's MOTIV8, training.com.au. And now, to help get you to the next level, Miss Motivate herself, Belinda Risley.
Hi guys, and welcome to episode 17 of the Motorsport Coaching Podcast. Can't believe we've already reached 17 episodes. I hope you've been enjoying them as much as I have, and hopefully they're getting better as we go along. Today I've been joined by a friend, Paul Mann. He's the co-founder of True Direction Financial. Basically, we're going to be discussing the importance of budgets, how to set up one, how to analyze those real costs associated with motorsports, and hopefully come around with a clear idea of whether you can afford to race in 2019. So stay tuned for some tips at the end. Welcome to the show, Paul.
Great, thanks Belinda. I'm really happy to be here today.
As I am having you as my guest, Paul. Just for people who don't really understand, what exactly does a financial planner do?
Okay, well, a financial planner or a financial advisor is really there to help people achieve their goals in life, but from a financial purpose. So a lot of people want to, buy a house or just retire, buy cars, whatever it is, reduce their debt. And a financial advisor or financial planner comes up with a way of structuring their financial life to align their life goals with their financial life. So for me, it's really about goal setting. I start with goal setting, and then we align people's lives to those goals.
Mm-hmm. And so obviously our audience is around motorsport competitors, and running a business is pretty much what they should be doing. So how does financial assistance or financial planning tie into that relationship? What are some of the things that people could be looking at and improving on?
Well, it seems to me, and from what you've told me, that this is not a cheap exercise, getting into motorsport. Would that be right?
Correct.
Right. So everything's about money. So if you want to pursue this, whether it's as a recreation or as a business, I think you've got to have a business hat on no matter what, because you don't want to start dig a big, deep, dark financial holes to chase a hobby, unless you've got the resources, of course. But for me, the first thing that I would start out, whether it's in motorsport or in life in general, is to make sure you understand your cash flow, knowing where this money is going to come from. For me, that's the building block of everything. I've got a set formula that I've used for a very long time with people with managing their money. And the first thing is understanding where to start and what it's going to cost you. And that's doing a budget. Sounds like a bad word, budgets, diets, they're not great words.
No.
Because people don't generally know where to start with them.
Correct.
Right? So for me, getting people to do that, helping them through that process of understanding. And the first step is awareness, understanding where you are. So having awareness about your situation, what you need, then really, again, focusing on those goals, setting those goals, monetizing those goals so you know how much it's going to cost you, and then understanding where you're going to get the money to do that, whether you're borrowing, whether you're getting sponsorship, whether you're going to earn money, you back yourself to win races and earn money that way. That's at the other end. But starting out, just like any business, that's the toughest parts. And understanding your cash flow by having a really tight, great budget, that's the start.
So at Motivate, we try and provide some resources to the guys at the beginning of the financial year and at the beginning of every other race year for them to, ideally every time they race, to record their expenses to make sure they capture all those incidentals. Do you have any resources or locations that people can go to access expense sheets or cash flow sheets, or how do people start out finding this information?
Look, yeah, it's a good question, Belinda. There's a lot of different ways you can do a budget. Look, we've got our own cash flow or budget formula. It's just an Excel spreadsheet, to be honest, that tries to capture everything. It's not that hard. This is rocket science, but it is something that you have to do. And it's something people avoid because they don't know where to start. So, look, there's a lot of tools around there. You know, Money Smart is a great place to go to, which is a government website. That's got a lot of information. There's a lot of budgeting tools out there. Just Google it. Or, you know, obviously contact me and I'll help you through that process as well. Maybe you can have one of our budget sheets, Glenda, and send it out to people if they need it.
Yeah, we can put that in the show notes at the end today.
It's really about knowing. Look, it's not about the spreadsheet though. You can sit and write this stuff out on a piece of paper if you want it. It's really about making sure you capture the essential pieces. You know, for me, it's always starting with the income. So knowing your income after tax, knowing what you're going to bring in. And then you've got to understand your costs. Now, when we talk about people on an individual or you know, couples basis, I always talk about it as your cost of life. So what it costs you to live. So you minus that from your income, and whatever's left over is what you have to spend, right? Because what it costs you to live doesn't change. And that's having a roof over your head and food and all the basics. And I'm talking about personal basis here. I suppose it's pretty much the same with businesses. And then once you know what's left over, then you can align that to either having some fun or putting it towards your goals, and hopefully a balance. And those goals need to be short-term, long-term, and medium-term sometimes as well. So just understanding, again, what your goals are and then aligning everything towards that.
Some great advice there. I understand you're not a tax accountant, but do you think it's beneficial for those hobbyists, amateurs, to set their sport up as a business, or to
potentially
be able to offset all of this stuff?
Potentially, no. Look, I am not a tax accountant, but you know, I've been a licensed advisor for 20 years. So I am licensed to deal with tax. But look, the answer to that one is it depends. Mm-hmm. Depends on how seriously you're taking it and whether you do have you know, some good deductions there to offset any income. Obviously, if you do start making income out of it, if you're claiming tax deductions, then potentially that's taxable as well. So in your corner needs to be a good team of people, right? When you're racing, you've got to have a great team.
Yeah, of course.
Right? Off the track, you've got to have a great team as well. So financial advisor, a good financial advisor for your long-term goals, a good tax accountant is essential as well, because they will guide you through that. And you've probably got one on a personal basis. You know, they'd be the people I'd be asking that type of question to. But yeah, you've got to have these people off the track as well as the ones on the track.
Agree 150%. Hence why our slogan is maximising performances on and off the track.
Look, I did that without any prompting.
Thanks for that. So what other things other than budgets? And obviously we've got cash flow and working out income after tax and the cost of the sport. Should people be looking into? Is there anything else?
Well, I suppose there's a whole range of different things. Look, I'm not a racing expert, but you know, personal insurances and things like that are very important along the way, depending on again how much risk you're taking. I'd be making, well, it depends on again what you're doing there. I'm not sure how well we can get racing car drivers insured along that.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Can athletes take out income protection?
Potentially.
Yeah.
Again, insurance is a tricky world. We do a lot of insurance for a lot of people, and when the insurers are looking at, they're obviously looking at the risk involved, mm-hmm. And depending on what you're racing and your experience and all those sort of things, I'm sure there are quite a few risks involved. So it would be a case by case basis. What I would say is that if you're a parent of a junior athlete who's trying to make their way and your income is the most important piece of the pie, you really need to insure yourself to ensure the longevity of your financial plan and what you're trying to do. Mm-hmm. So it's about having a total assessment, and that's probably what we do. You know, look at your total situation and show you any gaps that are available, you know, that are evident, and then try and fill them up in any way we possibly can. So yeah, insurances are a massive one. Not sure what else where we should go there.
I'm sure, yeah, that's right. Sure there's a
debt is a big one. Okay, so if you're borrowing for this situation, and you know you're loading up on debt, look, especially right now where we are in the debt cycle, money has been cheap for a very long time, and people are very much used to that situation, and they're used to getting money, under 5%, that's probably not going to be a situation that's going to keep going forward. So look, that interest rates will rise over time. So we're at historic lows. And then also the current lending situation, things are going to get a bit tighter. So just be careful if you've got some loans out there and you think you'll roll them over at some stage. That might start getting a little bit difficult. So you might want to ask someone to have a look at things for you.
Yep.
Again, someone like a good financial advisor or a very, very good mortgage broker can help you with those sort of things, just to really assess where you are. And then also, once you start getting into debt for this sort of situation and you're hoping for the income to come in from sponsorship or exactly, just make sure those are lined up, because once you've got a debt to pay, you've got to keep paying it. You don't want to keep digging holes for yourself. That's all. And again, that comes back to that whole budget situation, knowing what you get into and being very, very clear about that.
Unfortunately, in motorsport, there's more expenses than actual income awarded. So only on rare categories that you might have a pole position that could potentially win a small check for 1,000 or 5,000. Some of the speedway guys get a lot more money, and why people race that. So again, it really depends on the category. But in a whole, generally, there's not a lot of money to be made from prize money.
So it's all about the sponsorship.
It is really about the sponsorship and being, social media influencers these days, and being brand ambassadors and getting paid that way.
Okay, so I would say line those people up well before you're diving into debt.
Yeah.
Or save up beforehand. That's always a good way to do it, if you possibly can.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of these guys have been racing, or their kids have been racing since they're 7 years old. Yeah. So they've started quite young, and they might be, 7 years into the journey, and the kids only 14, 15, looking to see their potential. So it is an industry that has a lot of debt into it. So how often should, therefore, the parents and people reevaluate their financial position?
Oh, every year. Mm-hmm. Absolutely every year. Yeah. So, and if you're feeling a bit stressed about the situation, then more often. I mean, we review our clients a minimum of every 6 months in terms of are they tracking to their plan, and making sure they're online. Some people who are under stress, we actually review quarterly just to make sure that we're taking that stress out of their situation and they feel supported all the way through it. But once you get things humming, yep, and you're feeling in control and you know what you're doing and you've got your structure for success there, then really an annual checkup is absolutely imperative. Things change, interest rates change, personal circumstances change, costs change. So whenever things like that change, we encourage our clients to give us a call just to make sure we do a quick review. But otherwise, an annual review, absolutely imperative.
And where can people get in contact with you?
Okay. Look, our website is www.truedirection.com.au. There's a lot of information about myself and the business partners on there, and also some helpful tips. So, yeah, get in contact with us there. There's emails and contact details on there. Be happy to talk to anyone who needs some help.
Sorry, we're not finished yet. I just thought I would put that little plug in there for you now. And, of course, all those details will be in the show note. But you mentioned about goal setting and pre-planning. I mean, when we talk about motorsports, realistically, from a karting perspective, the sport's around about $50,000 minimum to race just at a basic club level for 12 months. Right. It's absolutely ridiculous. So do you think that they should have their own budget sheets, cash flow sheets, if they don't have a business specifically for this sport?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The more you understand about your cost base and what you need to fund during the year, then the better off you'll be. It's all about that awareness piece. If you just let it go and you don't have control of it, my experience tells me that things won't go well and that you'll experience significant stress during that time because you're not sure what you're doing. I mean, it's just like anything. You plan, if you go on a trip somewhere, you've got to plan how to get there and where you're going and the map along the way. So this is exactly the same. Understand your costs before you start.
Yeah.
Even if you're in that 7-year cycle or whatever it is, make sure you're reviewing along the way, know what's coming up well beforehand. If you've got any extra cash reserves during the year, put them away. Don't spend them and allocate them towards what you need. And that's again, that structure, banking structure and a real good account structure. So you put money out of harm's way as often as possible, so you don't get tempted to spend it on something that isn't going to help you achieve your goals.
Yeah,
it's all
so-
about a decision-making process, really.
Yeah, and so it's really important to have that cash pool sitting there as well, because a lot of these categories have leasing arrangements.
Right.
So it might be, say, $150,000 for the year, but then for any crashes they have, it's the insurance on top of that. So they might be having 5 great rounds. They might have budgeted out the $150,000 for the year, but if they have out of the 6 race meeting 4 crashes, there's automatically an extra $32,000.
Wow.
You know, that parents and athletes need to come up with to pay the team. So have you got any ideas about or strategies how people can save that extra? I guess I've been reading Barefoot Invest at the moment, so you say the mojo money for those who listen to that.
Okay. So, I mean, look, it is having an emergency fund, and that the sooner you can start. Look, that is, again, all about having that understanding of where your income goes, how much you've got, having that cost base, and then really making good choices about that excess money. We always encourage people to put it into a long-term savings account, so an online saver that has no access. Often it's with outside your normal bank, so that there is minimal chance of you getting there and using it for something that isn't there. And it's also about a long-term view, so putting money aside on a regular basis, not just when extra money comes in. Look, that helps, and if you can put some aside then, say interview bonuses and things like that people get. But having a long-term savings plan where you're actually just siphoning money off, putting it out of harm's way, building up that emergency fund so that your system is very robust. So no matter what happens, you're allowing for the worst, and that if those 4 or 5 crashes happen, you go, yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
We planned for that. That was something that we looked at, and we've got the money there. And if you don't use it, then happy days, and you
got some extra mojo.
you keep it going, and then you siphon some off that and invest it long term into your super or into the share market or something like that,
or into the next race category.
Yes.
So when you talk about long term, how long does the money need to be in these long term accounts to have any fruition or great returns?
Oh, look, these accounts aren't going to give you great returns because they're still short-term cash returns.
Yep.
So, look, for me, long-term is 7 to 10 years plus. And that's when you start talking about investing in property and the share market and the like, where your risks are going to be reduced as opposed to, these sorts of funds that you're talking about, you really just want to put them into a cash account that you know the money's going to be there when you need it. You don't want to take any risk with that. It's more longer-term money that you can take risk with, i.e. your superannuation and those sorts of funds. And again, this is on a personal basis, I suppose, with the business. Really, you just want it in cash, totally, if you're running it as a business.
Yep.
Not under the bed, just in a nice little online saver.
Yeah. And do you have any recommendations on those accounts, or can you? Or
not sure. Really. I don't think I can. Look, most major banks and the INGs and whatever this world have those online savers that are offering, they used to just offer a higher interest rate. They've sort of come back a bit. Now they offer bonus rates. So if you put more money in there, and it's not great returns. What are you getting? 2.7% around that if at the moment. Look, that'll improve. They only ever track inflation, to be honest. So they're not going to be great, but it's better than leaving it in your normal savings account where you're getting 0.1% and not earning anything. So that's where I recommend. Plus, they are out of harm's way. They're not linked to your debit card or your credit card or whatever it is. So.
Oh, that's a good point. Credit card spending. Do you recommend people utilising those buy now, pay later credit card schemes where you get frequent flyer points? Because obviously, for competitors, they can reimburse that, frequent flyer points for travel to their events and stuff. So, do you think paying by credit card is a great thing?
It's not a great thing.
Not a great thing.
So here you go. Do you know the current level of credit card debt in Australia right now? $45 billion.
Wow.
Of credit card debt. It's a phenomenal amount of money. And most of it isn't managed very well. Mm-hmm. It's very easy to get credit, but not many people manage it well. If you manage it well and you pay that credit card off each month, you can get great bonuses and frequent flyer points and all. If you are diligent with it and you use it properly, absolutely a great vehicle to earn extra points. Sometimes the costs can outweigh, but if you're using, the only way to use frequent flyer points is flights, really. That's the best value by far. All the other ways, the dollar per point that you're getting isn't really worth it. But if you're using it for flights, you can bank up a lot of things. I've recommended a lot of my tradie clients and things like that who, and they use their companies and they bill on, they pay for a lot of supplies on their credit cards, and they get end of year trips and things like that.
That's right.
So if you use it correctly, yes. But the caveat there, Belinda, is if you use it correctly, because I've seen a lot of people get into a lot of trouble on credit cards. Home loan debts are 4%, they're charging 18 to 20%. It's modern day robbery at the moment in credit cards, and I don't know how the banks get away with it, to be honest.
But then again, that's where a trusted financial advisor or a tax accountant will come in handy to help guide you through that.
Yeah, probably more the financial advisor than the accountant. Accountants are going to deal with your tax and your end of year books. Advisors, financial planners and financial advisors are much more focused on your future and again, aligning your finances to help you achieve your life goals.
Well, Paul, thank you for all that information today.
That was all good?
I think it was fantastic.
Right.
I hope everyone out there got some information. Just before we go, I always ask the last question. Do you actually follow motorsport?
Look, I do. I'm probably not a massive fan of every layer of it.
That's okay. I just wanted to know, do you have a favourite racetrack?
Bathurst, absolutely.
Yeah?
Always. Well, my part of my family live out at Bathurst, and so it's always. My uncle used to be the mayor of Bathurst, so it's always held a special place in my heart. I've driven around there plenty of times and had weddings out there on the track, like one at the function places off the track. Very much an affinity with Bathurst, as I'm sure many of you.
I think so. Well, I think you're interview number 17, and out of 17, I'm pretty sure about 14 have said Bathurst, and the other 3 are going to Phillip Island.
Right. Yeah. Well,
so other than the website, where can people get in contact with you?
My email address, if you want.
Sure.
paul.mann@truedirection.com.au.
Yeah.
Yeah, feel free to contact me. And
So if they're after that budget sheet, they can go directly to you too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just email you through just to get that cash flow or...
Yeah, and if you've got any questions, look, always happy to have a chat about people and look into their needs and see what they're trying to achieve and see if we can help them out in some way.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much again for your time, Paul. I'll see you next time.
Great. Thanks, Belinda.
Bye. Well, thanks everyone for listening to this week's show. I really hope you enjoyed that one as much as I did. Now, remember, all the show notes with the links and the specials mentioned in today's show are available over at motivatetraining.com.au. If you haven't already, I'd really appreciate it if you could head to iTunes or Stitcher, type in Motorsport Coaching, subscribe, and leave us a review. Each week, I'll read them out, and you'll go into monthly draw to win a fantastic prize. If you have any questions or comments, please email us at motivatetraining.com.au or head over to our Facebook page at motivatetT. Until next time, take care.
Get ready for the race.
Do you feel one step closer to being the next superstar behind the wheel? Motivatetraining.com.au for more. MOTIV, 8, training.com.au.
The green flag.
Every episode gets you one step closer to the checkered flag. The Motorsport Coaching Podcast, getting you to the checkered flag faster.